financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is in debt up to your eyeballs. This title is brought to you by Brian Small.
Good morning, Ken. Pleasure to be here. And a common topic these days, debt is abundant.
Yeah, particularly credit card debt. Jeffrey Linden, good morning.
Good morning.
Jim Simasko, good to have you back.
Always happy to be here, Ken.
All right, so let's get after it. Okay, so debt is skyrocketing.
Yes.
Skyrocketing. Credit card debt. Just off of CBS News, it was all the reports. It was the February report. Americans owe a record 1.1 trillion. It's really 1.13 trillion when you read the article. But
No, actually, really, by the time you've seen this show,
it's probably 1.3.
it's closer to 1.4 trillion, and the possibility that it's actually going to hit $2 trillion by the end of this year is actually in the cards.
The credit cards?
Yeah.
What's the basis of this assertion, Mr. Small?
Well, the things I've been reading saying that it's becoming exponentially
And what have you
growing.
been reading?
Graphic novels.
Besides graphic novels, very interesting.
Have you been pushing the Google button, or are you reading social media? Let's find out what the source of your information
Wall Street
is.
Journal, Nerd Wallet, and then there was an article recently on CNBC.
Because to get to 2 trillion from 1.1 in 11 months to double the debt would be pretty astronomical if you think about it.
The problem is it's based on the theory that what's happening is people are no longer paying down the debt. And if you look at what happened, it happened in 2023 and it happened again in 2024. Traditionally,
This is 2024.
I understand. Traditionally, at the end of the first quarter of each year, what you see is people paying down credit card debt. Okay?
From their tax refunds, or?
Period. From whatever sources. They got those Christmas bills, and credit card debt goes up during Christmas, and then it comes down in the first quarter.
Got it.
In 2023 was the first year it just flatlined, and it never went down. And then credit card debt skyrocketed in 2023, and it's doing the same thing in 2024. It flatlined, it did not get paid down, and it's going way up.
We're recording it right now. Mr. Small has made this statement.
I
we
said
will
it could get that
evaluate
high.
it in January of 2025. If credit card debt exceeds $2 trillion, we will state on this show that, Brian, you were right. That will be your reward.
Well, here's the problem.
I might have to miss that
I
show.
I honestly don't want to be right. I would like to think that we can find a solution to bring credit card debt back down. That is really the better goal.
Because if we can get credit card down really low, people won't need bankruptcies, so you won't
Then I can
have to
retire.
help them do bankruptcy.
Then I'll be able to retire.
The problem is people don't believe in New Year's resolutions anymore. You know, every New Year, okay, I'm going to pay down my debt, I'm going to get in shape, and then they forget about it.
Maybe they say,
we
I'm
know
gonna-
that
I'm
the
gonna
gyms
increase
make a
my
lot
debt.
of money in the month of January,
Yeah, right.
and nobody's there by March. So if that's a consistent theme, you're pretty much right when it comes to credit card debt too.
I wonder, I definitely have experienced that firsthand in Michigan as being a person that goes to the gym, and I've seen the increase in January that falls off significantly in February and is completely gone by March. You think that that's true in every state? Or are we one of the states that are bigger than a lot of the other states?
Well, we
like
are.
Colorado is known for being a much thinner state.
I was going to say, we are definitely a fat state. There's no question about that.
We're a Wally state, for sure.
Florida is both.
But you got outside in Florida. The
Yeah.
reason gyms
California's
are so popular.
thinner.
Remember, gyms are popular here in the winter because people can't be outside unless you ski.
Yeah, but in the summer we have probably better outdoor in the summer.
Yeah, but
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, but we're not a walking community state. You know, the states that are thinner,
not, right.
we drive everywhere, we
Right.
lounge everywhere. We don't.
Yeah,
we
even
don't
New
have-
York, if you live in Manhattan,
They're thinner.
you're walking. You're walking to the subway. You're skipping the subway and walking to your destination.
Right.
Much more walking.
I'll tell you,
also more
there's
stressed.
2 points in this article that
Yes.
we should really be concerned about, though. I will say this.
Yeah, let's get back to the
The
article.
one that says 49% of credit card holders are carrying debt from month to month,
Up
up
from-
from 39. Okay, and that credit card delinquencies have increased more than 50% in the past year.
Yeah, let's go back to the 49 to the 39%. You know, think about what that is saying. 10% of credit card holders that used to pay off their credit cards completely at the end of every month, so they were carrying zero credit card, have abandoned that and joined the group of what are called revolvers, where they're paying on revolving credit card balances. These are the people the banks love because they enjoy the benefits of 22 to 29% interest every
Right.
month.
But that makes sense because in that period, you know, from mid-COVID till now is when inflation really increased and interest rates really increased, making it much harder for people to get what they need or want and to pay it off right away.
No, making it more likely that people would not recognize that they had to attack their own situation and find a way to live within their means. People are always anticipating that things will get better quickly, and they haven't, and
Well,
they're not.
I mean, they have in certain respects. This gets almost into the political argument. Inflation has stopped as a ongoing problem. We're running at an inflation rate of 3 to 3.5%, which is what we were running pre-COVID. But,
Yeah,
you're
that's
never
not-
going to recoup that 10% bump
Right.
that occurred in 1 year. You're not
not
going
gonna
to
go
get
back down.
deflation back down.
Right.
I disagree. If you look at baby food, that went up a third. If you went up home mortgages, that doubled in the last few years.
Well, we'll
Yeah,
talk
let's
about
take
it
a
when we
break
come
and-
back.
let's take a break
Mortgages
and
and
talk about
houses,
that.
unbelievable.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
I was married for 57 years before my husband died.
Samasco Law had established a trust for them before this happened.
There's so much to do in the beginning, but after about a month, you're kind of alone.
We deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
If you continue to have good support and know that your finances and your estate is in order, that's one thing that's so comforting. I would just highly recommend Samasco Law.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so we're back. So Jim, you were making the point. Housing is way up.
Housing is, it's not just housing.
But that's not just way up in the last year. I mean, the inflation bump that everybody's screaming about is exiting COVID, where everything went way up.
But there's so much.
But housing's up because of interest rates.
Housing's up because of
Building
demand.
costs.
See, the interest rates were so low for such a long period of time that everybody refinanced, and so now nobody's selling their home because they don't want to go from a 3% mortgage to a 7.5% mortgage. The mortgage, the cost of housing is basically almost doubled if you get it
Plus
for
the
your
buyer
mortgage.
who could buy a $400,000 house can now only buy a $300,000 house,
which there isn't any such thing.
because of the increase in the interest rates in their
Right,
payment.
and there's no availability, and interest rates are
Yeah, because
high.
the only sellers are the ones that want to step down, that already own their home free and clear. They're not going to go into a new mortgage, and they're going to probably downsize, like the empty nesters.
They said that, the article I read said
And even
that,
in Michigan, I can tell you there are empty nesters that don't want to sell. I have this fight in my house all the time. I'm not going to, I'm capped on my taxes since 1988 or something. So if I went into the exact same value home that was smaller, that my wife would like on one level, my taxes would triple.
Yep.
Yeah. So I kept saying, no, we're happy where we are, honey.
The cost of ownership has
The
gone.
phone might ring any second.
has
now if
gone
she's
so
watching
high
the show.
that it used to be that apartment living and home ownership were relatively close. They say now it won't equalize or come close to equalizing again, where it's more affordable to buy a house for another 5 to 7 years.
And even on that, although I think I saw recently apartment rentals actually leveled off a little bit.
Yes, rents are actually dropping a little bit.
Because we saw an increase in rents,
Huge increase.
particularly during COVID. They were
25,
going
30%.
through the roof.
Yep.
Remember, there were all these companies that were just going out and buying. Interest rates were real low. They were just going and buying homes,
Right.
sight unseen, and like in Florida and Georgia, a lot of that, because the market was that way.
Zillow was doing that.
Yeah,
Didn't
Zillow
happen
got
here.
out of it because they didn't do
happened
well with
here.
it.
I have friends that were in a different industry but had cash. COVID hit, or before COVID, and when the downturn hit, there were a lot of distressed properties, foreclosures, tax sales, whatever. They scooped up from scratch. They now own like 600 different houses that they now rent.
Did they do this coming out of the financial crisis? That's where
So-
That's where
millions
they
were to
made the
be
money.
made.
Our-
We sat there talking about it, but we didn't do it.
Our viewership is going to be familiar with the homes in Oak Park, okay? And in that area, Oak Park, Madison Heights, okay, Royal Oak. When in 9, 10, 11, when the market had crashed, you could pick up a house, a 1,200 square foot bungalow in Oak Park for between $20,000 and $45,000. Every single one of those little houses was going for that amount of money.
What are they
Today,
now?
those houses are going for $325,000.
Well,
It's
let me pull up
absolutely
Zillow and I'll
insane.
see what my old home is in Oak Park.
Okay, well, you're doing that. We'll also,
You go on with something
I was
else.
going to say,
I'll
we
be
can
right-
also
Well,
talk
the other
about
I'll be right with you
cars
in a
are
second.
Cars.
outrageously expensive.
I mean, actually, the funny thing is just recently I've seen that they're starting to run promotions again on cars, and it's still absolutely insane.
186.
186 for how big of a house was it?
3-bedroom, 2,500 square feet.
Okay.
That's actually pretty nice.
It doesn't
sized
even
house.
look like it though, because they changed the front.
It's in
And
the
the
back.
big
Okay.
prickle bush is not there that was always in the front where all of our baseballs got lost. Things changed
Okay,
50 years later.
$20,000 to $186,000.
Yes,
I would
yeah.
lease cars for my sons, Equinoxes, when they're going to school and back. And when I started, they were $250 a month. And now they're close to $400 for the exact same car in over just 3 years.
Yep.
All right, so let's wrap it. So here's the problem.
Is it
Incomes,
greed or is it inflation? That's an interesting
in terms of the
question.
increases?
Yeah.
It's
Both.
supply and demand. The auto industry went through a very difficult time, first during the financial crisis, when I remember sales went way down, and during COVID,
'Cause of supply.
there was no demand.
that was the chip
and the supply.
crisis.
So once we came out of COVID, people had all this stored up money.
Right.
So they increased prices because the demand was there. They knew people would be out there buying cars.
It's funny. Yesterday, I was watching a video about what's going on in the stock market, and they say that the reason why inflation still isn't dropping and why the Fed is going to still hold off on lowering rates is because there's still COVID money out there. We're talking 4 years later.
Yeah, but do you see it? Because we don't see
No,
it in
not
our,
on an
we don't see it
individual
in
level.
in a
What
consumer level.
I see is that there's a whole lot of people that have gotten a whole lot of equity in their home that can't avail themselves of Chapter 7 bankruptcy anymore because of the fact that their homes have grown so much and
So they have equity. So
they have equity, and their
can't
debts
pass-
have doubled in
so
the last
they
4 or
can't
5
pass
years.
the means test, or they just have too much equity.
Too much equity, and therefore they're going to be required to go into a Chapter 13.
All right, and now you're attributing that to the COVID money?
I'm contributing that to
In part, maybe.
in part COVID money, in part the demand for housing, and the value.
Yeah, your mortgage
remember when they
balance can
came
be the
out-
same, but if the value of the house has doubled, then you've doubled
Right.
your
Do
equity.
you remember when we came out of the financial crisis in 9, 10, 11? We were sitting there saying we're never going to see increases in value.
No,
of
you
homes,
said that. You said that.
and it was going to be 1% to 4% a year, like it was traditionally.
We all said that. Everybody said that.
Okay, and what happened during COVID? 20% increase. 15%
Well,
increase.
not just COVID. I mean,
the
really,
last 4 years.
From the time we got out of the financial crisis, 2015 forward, we went back to pre-COVID. Values came back to what they were. Let's take a break, and then we have to figure out how do we solve these problems.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. Oh, and I announced THAV Gross has opened a new office downriver in the Horizon building on Eureka Road. So now we're in Flint, downriver, and also our home office in Bingham Farms. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. You can do it by Zoom conference, in the office, any way that works best for you. Just call 888-235-HELP or go to the website, thavgross.com, to sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat or Kelsey, disability issues with Jeff Kirschner. Again, sign up at lawandreality.com or thavgross.com or just call 888-235-HELP. Also, if you go to the website, you'll see there's free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by Jeff Linden and myself. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian Small. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure. Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And The Retiree's Guide to Social Security by Pat Simasko. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Simasko Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Pat was recommended by a friend who insisted that we really needed a trust. And he said, I know somebody who will do a good job for you.
At Simasko Law, we deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
We had excellent service from Simasko Law. Any questions we had were addressed. Our estate is in order and it had been set up so well that nothing needed to be done. I would just highly recommend Simasko Law.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so we've identified and we all agree, debt is way up. Credit card debt, car payments are really high. What do people, and you made the point that a lot of people can't file a Chapter 7 because they have too much equity in their home. So what is the solution to someone who's facing this kind of a debt crisis? Because all of a sudden they've got $50,000 of credit card debt is not even a lot for someone to have when they have a problem. It's not a good thing at 20% interest. That's $10,000 a year in interest alone.
Wait, you're assuming
what if
20.
you got
It's at 30 to 35% because most of those people are defaulting.
and a lot of people have 100 and 120,000 of credit card debt. So what do you do?
So we have to get creative is what we have to do. I mean, we still want to look at and say, is Chapter 7 a viable opportunity? And we can create that opportunity sometimes. If you are married and you have a house and it has too much equity and initially we say you're not going to qualify for a Chapter 7, we look at it and say, well, can we get rid of the joint debt between you and your wife? Can we do debt resolution on part of it so that there's no joint debt so that we can qualify you for the tenancy by the entirety's exemption?
So there's a way around the equity
and keep
problem.
you in a Chapter 7 and get rid of most of the debt, pay some of the debt, right?
And everybody doesn't have too much equity. How much equity in your home can you have and still file a Chapter 7?
You're basically $50,000 equity, unless you're over 65, in which case you can protect
All right, so if you
$67,000.
recently bought the home with a 10% or 5% down situation, you might still qualify.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody, we
have to look at it.
We
Yeah.
have to look at it. But sometimes a Chapter 13 is the right solution. But quite often, with as much equity as people are having in their homes today, which they're unprepared, like people say, oh,
Why not
my
just
house,
refinance?
My house is worth $200,000. You look it up and it's worth $350,000, and they're like, how did it get to be that high? Because of the last couple of years. So when you look at that, you say, all right, maybe we're going to do debt resolution instead because we can save you more money through debt resolution. The key, no matter what.
Well, I don't know what, I mean, I know what debt resolution is.
Settling your debts.
I think Jeff knows. I think Jim knows. But the 400,000 people that are watching this show right now,
From
I'm
your
not
mouth
sure
to
that
God's
they,
ears.
I'm not sure that they know what debt resolution is. Maybe 350.
Settling your debts for less than what you owe. Paying less than full amount owed. The quote unquote pennies on the dollar. That's what debt resolution is. We negotiate a
So
settlement.
it's not a
of your
bankruptcy.
debts.
It's we negotiate and reduce the amount of the debt and settle it for less. We deny the credit card company their money, they then want to settle, and we squeeze them to the point where they turn red, beet red, and they're about to explode in pain and agony, and then we give them the absolute smallest amount of money that they will accept to cancel the debt.
That sounds really good. I like that.
Just picture that credit card company turning red in the head and just exploding in pain.
If we're squeezing them, aren't we
It's
squeezing
getting
the oxygen
even.
out of them? Wouldn't they be turning blue?
Let me ask you a different question, though, because we're only a couple minutes. Jerry, the bartender, says, well, you've got equity in your home. Just refinance your home.
Okay.
And then take that money and pay off your credit card debt, and then you're fine.
So that's the traditional method of getting out of debt that people have used for years and years. Okay? I'm going to borrow the equity back out of my house, except right now the majority of people have interest rates at 3%. When you're refinancing, you're going to 7.5% right now.
Or on an equity line, you're paying that.
You're
paying even higher.
doubling your mortgage or more. Doubling the payment. You can't afford the payment in the first place and now you're going to double it? Your house is going to end up in foreclosure.
I have a confession. In the era of the pre-financial crisis, where you could go and refinance your house, find an appraiser and find a mortgage lender and say, if you will appraise my house at X, I will refinance with you because I want to pay off my credit card debt. So you could basically name your price in those days. I refinanced my house, I don't remember, maybe 2, 3, 4 times. Let me tell you something. All it does is cycle the debt back up again. It's not a solution.
So, in other words,
It's
you're the
worst-
singular reason why the economy collapsed in 2009.
I'm the singular reason why, if you're watching this show and someone tells you to refinance your house, I can tell you without question, it is the wrong thing to do.
Yep.
Your goal is the 3-point retirement plan. Own your home free and clear, have zero debt, have some cash in the bank, and then you can retire happy. And you can make that change in your 50s and get there, trust me, by your 60s if you do it. But if you don't do it, you end up being like my father, where you don't even own a home, you're paying rent, you got $400 of credit card payments, you got a $350 car payment, you got a $2,000 rent payment,
Today it'd be a
and you got
$700
Social
car
Security
payment.
coming in of $2,500 a month. Then you become dependent upon your children, which is not what you want to do.
You should plan your paying off your mortgage to coincide with your retirement then?
I think you should pay. I'm a believer in paying it off earlier. Pay it off. If you got a 30-year mortgage, figure out what pays it off in 15. Get rid of it. Get rid of the debt. All of a sudden, it becomes very easy to save money and accumulate for retirement. That's a wrap. We'll see you next week. Have a great week.